my good Christians out there and atheists and Muslims or wherever the hell you celebrate and worship. Good evening. What we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about some stuff Kevin Durant said that set off a racial firestorm. And you have all the coons making excuses. The white folks is mad, and the real ones like me who don't even watch basketball like that anymore. Like, yep. What Kevin Durant basically said was there was someone in the media that was asking Kevin Durant, basically the context. I'm about to play the audio for you right now. The context is Kevin Durant was asked if his team, which comprises of LeBron, Curry, and a lot of the older players, are they going to play hard? And he flipped it and was like, "Man, why don't y'all ask some Europeans that?" Yeah, so it's a lot to unpack here. So what I'm here right now. What I'm getting ready to do is I'm gonna play the audio for you. I'm gonna play the audio. Then when I'm done playing the audio, I'm gonna light one up and we're gonna talk about it. All right. Well, let me play the audio for y'all real fast, and then we're gonna talk about it.
Cotton, also a question for you. Saw the rosters.
Can y'all hear?
On that old heads team.
Let me know if you can hear.
Old heads will compete and try to win the whole tournament here.
You should ask the Europeans and the world team if they're gonna compete. I mean, because if you look at Luka Doncic and Nikola Jokic now, let's go back and look at what they do in the All-Star game. Is that competition? So we haven't questioned what they've been doing, but we're gonna question the old heads and the Americans. But these two dudes out there, Luka and Jokic, they don't care about the game at all. Oh, these dudes be laying on the floor, they shoot from half court, but you got to worry about the old heads playing hard. I can read between the lines, bro. And I just think a lot of times, I'm just saying that I can read between the lines. And it's not just about you. It's just a overall topic that everybody has just been talking about. You just happen to ask me that question.
I will say that's a fair point. Reading between the lines. Also, Victor, I think, has said he plans to play hard on the offense.
We'll see. We'll see. I mean, we'll see. Yeah. Of course, Vic. I mean, he said that last year too, and and they say it was the worst All-Star game that people watched. You know, so we're gonna see. You know what I'm saying? And who knows?
So there you have it. That was Kevin Durant. Were y'all able to hear? Let me see here. Were y'all able to hear that? What's up, Rocky? Man, I'm going outside, homie. Can't come with me. Rocky coming with me like he gonna come outside. But were y'all able to hear that? Press the number 1 if y'all were able to hear that. Press the number 1 if y'all were able to hear that. I'll repeat it, but I still want y'all to press the number 1 if y'all heard that. I'll repeat what was said. Okay, so y'all did hear it? All right, cool. I'm about to turn my camera off real quick. So y'all heard that. So, what's up, Rocky? I see you. I see you a little later, Rocky. Rocky looking like, nigga, I came to kick it. Rocky looking at me like, man, I came to kick it. Are you leaving? Yeah, homie, I'm leaving. Okay, so y'all heard that. Okay, let me set it up for y'all. Sorry for coughing in y'all ear. I meant to mute the motherfucker, but I coughed before I hit the mute button. All right. So let's break that down in the context. The question was, for those of you who don't understand the context of what just happened, there's been a major issue in the NBA since Kobe retired. And the issue has been they don't play hard in the All-Star game anymore. And a lot of that is because Kobe's retired. And it's been that way for a long time. I was actually there in 2008, or was it 7? 8. Whatever year Kevin Durant's first All-Star game he played in, I was at that game. Been to about a dozen All-Star games, and I stopped going when Kobe stopped playing too because of the lack of intensity. It's it's a shit show. The All-Star game is a complete shit show. It's not competitive. It's soft. It's weak, and it really started with Kobe leaving. And because usually the best players in the league are the ones who set the tone. And ever since Kobe left, and it's been a LeBron thing, LeBron made the All-Star game tissue soft. He never participated in the dunk contest, and it was under his leadership and Kevin Durant's leadership that the game got soft. Yeah, of course I put it on LeBron because he's the face of the league. Kevin Durant was never the face of the league, although he was the best player at the time. It's not like KD took Kobe's position and made the game competitive when he was in his younger years. So Kevin Durant does deserve some of the blame because he's one of the faces of the league. He does deserve some of the blame. He and LeBron. LeBron deserves most of the blame because he's the face of the league. And with great, when you have that much, attention, then you get that much attention in both directions, positive and negative. But KD also shares blame because he could have chosen to turn it up and he didn't. Although he did play very competitively when Kobe played. When Kobe was number one, KD played very competitively. But with that being said, I want to get into what Kevin Durant said. He said, why don't you guys ask the Europeans? Why are you only asking the Americans to play hard? And he said, I can read between the lines. And Kevin Durant was right. Kevin Durant was right. Stop it, talk about Kevin Durant. All last decade was weenies. The biggest weenie in the league is LeBron James, teaming up with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. That was the number one weenie move. Then LeBron made a second weenie move by going back to Cleveland, but making sure that Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving and the whole goddamn Miami Heat bench came along with him. That was two weenie moves. And then Kevin Durant made his weenie move in response to LeBron's two weenie moves. That's two weenie. They're both weenies. I'll give you that. They're both weenies. We're not gonna start at number two. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And LeBron started that. And Kevin Durant is a constant number two. It shows how much of a follower he is too. Shows how much of a follower Kevin Durant is. Because he's still, you still got to be your own man, So I'm not giving KD a pass. You still got to be your own man. But now the league is in the hands, according to Adam Silver, of Jokic and Luka. Those are the two that the NBA is pushing the most. So since Jokic, it's supposed to be Jokic's league now, right? I don't watch basketball the way I used to, but it's supposed to be Jokic's league. Luka's supposed to be the face of the league. He's definitely the face of the Lakers. And those two marshmallow twins don't do a motherfucking thing on the court. It's like watching my big ass get out there doing All-Star Weekend. I ain't going to be doing shit. Neither are they. But the media notice how the media will glorify Luka, they'll glorify Jokic, but they never mention how those two players don't play defense. They never mention how bad of a teammate they are. People forget, Jokic got kicked out of a playoff game in 2021 for his attitude. Jokic's attitude is on the level of Draymond Green. Jokic has made his team has had to pay for his short temper a few times and a couple times in the playoffs. But they don't give Jokic the same heat they give Draymond Green and what they gave Rasheed Wallace. Jokic is every much as bit of a hothead, and he has put his teams in compromising positions because he cannot hold his composure. But he never gets called to the carpet for that. Somebody said, I don't know about the attitude, he has a championship. Dennis Rodman had a championship, stupid. God damn. The fuck a championship got to do with attitude? Rasheed Wallace had a championship. Draymond Green had a championship. The fuck is you talking about in the chat? I don't know about attitude. You just said that because he's white. Stop it. You just said it because Jokic is white. All these quote-unquote attitude guys had championships. The fuck is he talking about? Back to what I was talking about. You don't have to argue with me. Just go look it up. Go type in playoff games Jokic was kicked out of because of technical fouls and flagrant fouls. I have zero mods. Don't kick them out. Let me handle people who are. Let me handle all the white apologists that come in the chat. So, this motherfucker, Jokic, his attitude, he pouts when things don't go his way. He gets physically confrontational when things don't go his way. And they never bring that up. You have to be able to see the game for yourself. You can't wait for Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless to point it out for you. You got to point it out for yourself, people. And let's get over to Luka. Luka, what's up, Dre? Luka he plays a dumbed down James Harden game. Luka took James Harden's game. It's slower and a little bit more retarded. He's just taller. Remember when Luka was getting when James Harden was getting all those fouls? 2019, Adam Silver decided to target James Harden for free throws, for going to the free throw line so much, and they stopped calling three-point plays for James Harden. James Harden get hacked, they won't call nothing. Remember, James Harden, they were saying dribble, he dribbles too much. Remember, the narrative on James Harden was he don't play defense and he dribbles too much. He don't play defense. All we heard from 2013 till James Harden slowed down around 2021 when the game really started to slow down. For that 8-year period, all you heard was James Harden dribbles too much and he doesn't play defense. He dribbles, don't play defense. Dribbles too much, don't play defense. Luka comes in, dribbles more, plays less defense. Oh, he's the best player in the NBA. And here's the thing. James Harden always played defense. Was James Harden like a Kobe-style defender? No, he wasn't no all-NBA defender. But James Harden was a good enough defender. People forget there was a series, I think it was 2021 second round. Check me, chat room, if I'm wrong. It's one of those series. I think it was 2021. No, it was when James Harden was still in Houston. It was when he was still in Houston. Remember he ended the series with a block shot? Who remembers that? The last play of the series ended when James Harden, I thought that could have been Brooklyn. I think maybe one of the years of Brooklyn. James Harden ended the series with a block shot on defense. You remember that trio soul? Did they ever give James Harden credit and say, oh, wow, James Harden changed the series with his defense? No. They just keep repeating a narrative. And they allow Luka to travel, not play defense. See, he a Laker now, so y'all notice I'm a Laker fan. I ain't been all excited about Luka. My squad ain't winning shit with him. You can't win a championship with Luka Doncic as your best player. He don't play no fucking defense. He don't play no fucking defense. And nobody says anything. Luka don't try hard. Luka mails it in. He don't try hard. And Luka's a bad teammate. Luka is a horrible teammate. What do I mean by Luka's a teammate? Horrible teammate. Go back to this is how much they love Luka Doncic at the NBA office. Remember the finals, Dallas versus the Celtics. Kristaps Porzingis was on the Celtics. Why was Kristaps Porzingis a Celtic? Remember Porzingis played a very critical role in the Celtics beating the Mavericks. Kristaps Porzingis should have been on the Mavericks. Why did Kristaps Porzingis get traded from the Mavericks to the Celtics? I'll tell you why. European, racial, ethnic differences with Luka Doncic. They'll never talk to y'all about that, do they? I lost my plug in the NBA around 2000, around the pandemic. My plug went to go coach over in Africa, NBA, the developmental league in Africa. A lot of the best coaches, a lot of the best FBA coaches that can't get a job in the NBA, I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna give y'all a secret. You know where they're coaching? They're coaching in Africa to develop African talent. My boy Rashid Hazard and other guys that coach in the NBA, they can't get a job. They're letting women now coach on the bench, but these niggas got to go to Africa to develop Africans. That's what's happening right now. That's why you see so many Africans coming over here knowing how to play. It's because the NBDL, the NBA Africa, has all the best FBA coaches coaching in Africa. My boy She used to coach with the Lakers. He coached under Phil Jackson. He's the last person that Tex Winter taught the triangle offense to. Wait, NFL's doing the same thing. And do you know who's behind the NFL doing that? You know one of the major agencies behind the NFL in Africa? The two people who have, it's not them, but they're the faces of Jay-Z and LeBron James. It's a reason why I don't fuck with neither one of them sellout Judas Goats ass niggas. And it's a reason why I don't mind hurting all you pansies out there that get butthurt when I bring them up. I know what's going on, nigga. I'm not a fanboy. I know the shit behind the scenes. I just don't talk basketball no more because I've moved on in my life. What's up, Mogul Mays? He says, I believe NBA is in steep decline. They did everything to accommodate international talent. Right. Yeah. Like I'm doing some work right now with high school and college NIL players that get NIL deals. And I found that out from the inside. Yeah. Rock Nation Sports. Yeah. Jay-Z's and LeBron Sports Agency. Yeah. They down there looking for talent in Africa. So when you see more than Nigerian flags like you saw in the Super Bowl this past Sunday, over the next 10, 15 years, you can thank Jay-Z in Africa, Jay-Z and LeBron, for being the face of a lot of that for the NFL. I know something the rest of these niggas don't know. Look, your internet sports channels ain't even covering this. I know more than 90% of them niggas. I just don't. Sports is stupid now. I'm in a different phase of my life right now. LeBron do a whole lot of shit behind the scenes that undermines Black America and Black Americans, Black American culture, coaches and players. But half of you niggas is fanboys of these niggas, and y'all goddamn wieners get all hard when LeBron's name come up, so you can't say most of this stuff without getting a bunch of attacks from a whole bunch of weird ass niggas. Yes, Elicino, they're outsourcing niggas for real. Yeah. Well, back to Luka. So I just said all to say, I don't have the plugs in the NBA that I used to have. My guys that I coach, they coaching in Europe. Most of them they're in Africa coaching. Some are in China. Some are in Europe. So my direct plugs to the NBA aren't around anymore. So I can't tell you what's going on with the game in the NBA like that the last 5 years because I don't have the plugs the last 5 years. But I still know who to call if I need to. If I need to know, I can call. But I don't watch basketball enough to need to know anything because I don't give a fuck what they do. I don't care about basketball no more. Basketball turned its back on Black Americans, so fuck them. Fuck the NBA. Motherfuck the NBA, matter of fact. So he said, your Ohio family had nothing but positive words about Brian and this foundation helping them. Of course, if somebody's foundations helped me, I wouldn't have negative words either. What I know about LeBron don't come from people who he helped. My information about LeBron came from people he fucked. Mind you, I've been in Cleveland. I was in Cleveland the year after LeBron left the Cavs. I was there. I got pictures and tickets to prove it to you niggas. I was there. I heard from the towel boys. I heard from the assistant coaches. I heard from everybody what was going on directly the year he left. So I don't have to go back and research. I was there. Like Fat Joe says. I was there. Real talk, Red 6. So back to Luka. Luka is not a competitor. What the NBA has done is they loosened the rules and they're hoping to get everyone to watch, and they're using statistics to push the best players, not game. And all of this shit that we talking about that the Europeans thriving off of is all in the mode of one LeBron James. What's my working theory I'll be telling y'all about? Before the tethers come in, it's always a nigga, a Black American, that shows the tethers how to tether. Tethers aren't creative. White supremacists are not creative. They're not creative people. It's usually a creative Negro that gives the white supremacists and the tether the blueprint up and down the line. It's usually a homegrown FBA that gives the blueprint to the tethers. What does LeBron James have to do with this? Let me explain. It isn't all LeBron's fault. I'm not going to put it 100% on LeBron's fault. David Stern has a lot to do with this. Adam Silver, the network executives at ESPN, and Nike. ESPN, Nike, David Stern, and a larger Adam Silver. It all started when Kobe had that rape case, 2004, 2003, whatever year that was. Kobe had the rape case. When Kobe had the rape case, there was no way that the NBA was going to allow him to be the face of the league. If you look back, 2000 NBA Finals, 2001 NBA Finals, 2002 NBA Finals, just go back and listen. They were saying Kobe was better than Jordan when he was 21. Not me. NBC, Marv Albert, Jeff Van Gundy. They were saying that. The way he took over against Indiana at 21, they were saying even Jordan couldn't do that at 21. But at the time, Kobe was an Adidas guy. Nike controls the narrative as to who's the best. The number one player of all time is a Nike conversation. It's Nike, Nike, Nike. Nike sets the narrative. You're never going to be an all-time great unless you're with Nike. So Kobe is getting this kind of accolades, and he's not even with Nike. Kobe, then the summer this situation happened in Colorado, Kobe switches to Nike. And the same summer Kobe switched to Nike, he had the situation in Colorado with the rape case. In comes LeBron James. LeBron is coming into the league 2003 draft, one of the 5 greatest drafts of all time. 1960, 1984, 1996, 2003. Those are flat out the greatest drafts of all time, those 4 drafts. LeBron comes in with much fanfare, and I broke this down on my show with y'all before. Artist Life, I'm pretty sure y'all, Rashawn Green, I'm pretty sure you remember when I did play the video. LeBron James' first commercial, it was with Jerry West, Dr. J, and a choir. It's at a church. And LeBron's coming in, and he's the new King James. He's being announced as the new king. So they set it in the church, and the choir gets to singing. LeBron busts through the door, he gets the ball, and he's passing the ball to different people in the church. That right there lets you know that, okay, this is the guy that they've chosen. They're literally, remember how this is all the same, how entertainment works, how systems work. They have to tell you what they're going to do. Nothing gets done in secret. We all know everything. They tell us everything up front. That's why they put Donald Trump on The Simpsons as president 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Donald Trump was president on The Simpsons. They tell us everything. Just gotta pay attention. Too many people, most people watch TV, just to be entertained, and that's fine. But for you niggas who watch just to be entertained, shut the fuck up when those of us who watch for deeper meaning are talking. That's all I gotta say to that. I don't mind people watching for entertainment, but shut the fuck up because it's deeper to entertainment. And those of us who want to talk about the deeper side than just entertainment, we'd like to be able to speak freely without you dumb niggas coming around talking about, it ain't that, it ain't that, it ain't that. Shut up, nigga, and go read a book. Probably watch too much TV anyway if you're that kind of person. Back to what I'm talking about. So they show us that LeBron's going to be the new king through that commercial. That same year, Kobe has the rape case. Dick Gregory said it was a setup. I don't know. I wasn't really into research at that time in my life. I was still in college. I wasn't researching shit outside of college during that time of my life. So I didn't pay close enough of attention back then to say whether Kobe was set up or not. But that is something Dick Gregory said that he was. Kobe gets taken down. The NBA is clearly going to make LeBron the new king. Here's the issue. LeBron had all the skills, had the size, had the marketability, had the charisma, had everything you needed to take the reins from Kobe. Everything except for one thing. Heart. LeBron James had everything needed tangibly to take over, except for heart. He's missing the heart. He never had heart. So, the NBA recognizes this. So what did the NBA do? First thing the NBA did was allow the East to stay dog shit. They allowed the East to stay dog shit. They put all the competition in the West. Tim Duncan, West. Tracy McGrady left Orlando and went to Houston, West. Jason Kidd in the West. Then you get this new class, Carmelo Anthony goes to the West. Wade and Bosh stay in the East. So they clear the field for LeBron James in the East. They keep the field as little, as minimally, what word can I use? As little, less competitive as possible. That's what they did. They made the East for about a 15-year period just desolate. Just desolate. And it started with Jordan retired. Then Reggie Miller retired. They made the East real desolate. The Pistons came around, and the Pistons were strong. That four-headed monster. But that four-headed monster started getting old. Rasheed Wallace is now getting old. Rip Hamilton couldn't stay injury-free. And they got rid of Chauncey Billups and brought in Iverson. We all knew that shit wouldn't work. But I really do think the league was behind. In my heart, I feel that the league was behind the Pistons drafting Darko Milicic instead of Wade, Carmelo, or Bosh. Everybody knew them three niggas was going to be the shit. Everybody knew. And these niggas went with Darko Milicic. It had to be something deeper in the water for them to choose Darko. Especially considering they already had big men. They already had Ben Wallace and Rasheed Wallace. You don't need another big. You got those two covering it, Eldon Campbell, rest in peace. Eldon Campbell, rest in peace, was coming off the bench. And what up, man? So they make Carmelo go out to the West. Detroit had his 4 runs in a row in the finals because the East was really bad. And then the Cavs take him out. LeBron and also Boobie Gibson. People don't like to give Boobie Gibson credit. LeBron had that great game 4 where he scored like 25 points in a row. But the next game, LeBron only had like 16 points. And Boobie Gibson was the one that closed the Pistons out. They never give Boobie credit for closing the Pistons out. They never give him credit for that. It was game 5. Okay, thank you. What's this nigga doing? Hold on. Your headlight out, nigga.
No, I gotta go get one. I saw that shit tonight.
Okay. you about to roll out?
I'm just going to the corner.
All right, cool. When I'm done with this live. All right.
Hello, live community.
This nigga said hello live. That's that nigga Reggie Edwards in the chat. Y'all know one of my moms, Reggie Edwards. This nigga come driving down. Every time that nigga come driving past the house, that nigga look like the supervisor. Yeah, Delonte West also. That Cavs team was a team that Larry Hughes, Delonte West, Boobie Gibson, Drew Gooden, every night it was a different person that stepped up for that team. That was the perfect kind of team for a superstar to have. Anderson Varejao. The Jonas Ilgauskas, Jermaine Jones, shooters. That team had everything you really needed to win a championship, except for when they got to the finals. This is when the league realized they had a problem. And I'm gonna get to where we are right now. I'm slow walking y'all. The league realized they had a problem in 2006, 2007. In the finals in 2006, the Cavs got there, but when the finals hit, the guy that they put all their money behind, LeBron James, didn't show up. Go look it up. The Cavs got swept, and LeBron only averaged 16 points a game. They didn't lose because, LeBron just drugged these bums. The narrative is LeBron LeBron drugged these bums to the finals. Eric Snow was a starting point guard. Eric Snow went to the finals with the 96 Sonics. Eric Snow went to the finals with the 2001 Sixers. Eric Snow was anyone who watched basketball in the 90s and the 2000s, no one would say they wouldn't want Eric Snow on their team. Eric Snow was the point guard's point guard. He understood how to run a team. And he consistently did this no matter which team he was in on. If you want to check how good teammates are, check and see what they do when they're on other teams. And that Cavs team had Wally Szczerbiak. Wally Szczerbiak had just 2 years prior gotten to the Western Conference Finals with the Timberwolves, and he was just an all-star the year before that. So, the Celtics, the Spurs were the better team, and the Spurs should have won that finals. But there's no excuse for averaging 16 points and getting swept. The issue wasn't that the reason why the league realized they had a problem, not because LeBron lost. That was the Spurs. Who the fuck do you think LeBron is? Kobe? Nigga, only Kobe has a winning record against the Spurs. Nobody else. Not even Shaq. Well, Shaq has a winning record too. But Kobe won more than Shaq against the Spurs. But LeBron didn't. It was the fact that they got swept, and go back and look it up. It was the largest point differential at the time in NBA history. Anybody that says Eric Snow is ass, you probably 20. You obviously didn't watch basketball. You was too busy in the room with your mama and your aunties while they was gossiping about all them niggas that done fucked them and left them. You wasn't watching basketball with the men if you think that Eric Snow was trash. You was in the room with the ladies watching the People's Court. You wasn't with the men. So if you wasn't with your uncles, your dad and your uncles during that time, if you wasn't with your cousins and the fellas playing dominoes with the old niggas drinking beer and playing dominoes and watching the game, don't goddamn talk in my chat, okay? I could tell who was, and I'm not, this ain't talking about people who have fathers, didn't have fathers. I'm just saying when the game was on, you had men around, but you was in the room with the ladies. Just admit it. Your dad probably was around, but she was in the room with the ladies. So if you was in a room with the ladies, don't talk in my fucking chat about basketball. Nigga, you was doing double dutch while everybody else, while all the kids was playing throw up football, you was playing double dutch. So get you double Dutch ass niggas out my chat. So anyway, back to what we're talking about. So Eric Snow, see, and that's the thing. A lot of you stupid niggas don't even know basketball. Like, I don't know how to talk to some of you. There are stars, there are superstars, there are stars, and then there are role players. And then there are journeyman role players. And within the 85% of the league, 80% of the league is role players. in that 80% of the league that's role players, you have tiers. You have first tier role, you have first rate role players, second rate, third rate role players. Eric Snow was a first rate role player. Was he a superstar? No. He was a first rate role player. Wally Zerbiak was he could be a first rate, but most of the time he was a second rate role player because Wally Zerbiak was too inconsistent to be a first rate role player. A first rate role player is going to bring it every night. And they're going to fill in whatever holes need to be filled in. It's the reason why Eric Snow was a starting point guard on the 2001 finals team with Allen Iverson and the Sixers. Eric Snow is who allowed Allen Iverson to be Allen Iverson. You're right, hustling fundamentals. And he was a great defender. When Eric Snow was in your backcourt, Eric Snow was a top level defender at the point guard position. And this back in the days, you can play physical. He was a 6'5" physical point guard. So Eric Snow, defensively, he filled in all the holes for Allen Iverson. But you got to understand basketball, know that. Again, most of you niggas was crocheting and playing video games. So back to what we're talking about. So the issue was that the Cavs had the widest point differential in NBA history. Yeah, Red 6, you are right. Eric Snow is as fat as me. I was like, God damn, we look alike now, nigga. But I was the same weight then in 2001. I was a 300-pound motherfucker then like I am now. You was in shape. What happened? So you get to 2007. That was the finals. 2008, that's when the Celtics team up. The Celtics hook up in 2008. LeBron's team gets better, but the issue was in the finals, LeBron didn't show up. LeBron didn't show up in the finals. I mean, the Eastern Conference Finals. And then the league had everything set up. So what they did was, let me go back to the rule changes. What the NBA did, going back to David Stern, to make the league softer for LeBron, they started taking away a lot of the physical play. Once LeBron got to the league, they had already taken away hand checking before LeBron got there. But when LeBron used to be able to defend with an arm bar, like this, and that's what Eric Snow was such a good defender at. You used to be able to get up in your defender and put that arm, and with that arm, you can sort of guide which direction they're going to go. They removed that when LeBron got to the league. Scottie Pippen used to put his hand on your hip. And Scottie Pippen's genius was, and I hated Scottie Pippen, but I heard this from one of my friends who played against Scottie Pippen. He said Scottie Pippen knew how to put his hand on your hip and just turn your pelvis. So you coming in thinking you about to go right. Pip put his hand on your hip, and he just knew how to kind of guide your pelvis to where you thought you was gonna go this way, but Pip makes you go this way and take bad angles. They removed all of that shit by the time LeBron got to the league. So they softened the league for him. I mean, by his second year. They softened the league up for him. And then what they did after they started doing that, they keep the East desolate. The Celtics team up, but the Celtics had a lot of injuries. And in 2009, Kevin Garnett got injured, so the Celtics weren't a big issue for the Cavs in 2009 because KG got hurt. So the league and Nike make these puppets. Person number 5, if you remember the puppets. They make the Nike puppets with Kobe and LeBron. The marketing had it all set up for Kobe versus LeBron finals. Had it all set up. Down to the point to where Orlando, people forget this part. That was the one and only year Jameer Nelson made the All-Star team. Chat room, look me up. If I'm lying, I'm dying. If I'm lying, I'm frying. I ain't dying for shit. But I'm frying if I'm lying. That was the one and only year Jameer Nelson made the All-Star team. Jameer Nelson didn't play in that series. Remember, go look it up. Rafer Alston was the backup point guard. He started. Rafer Alston got signed like mid-season. Skip to Malou. Skip didn't even play the whole season. So not only does LeBron not have to worry about the Celtics, not only does he not have to play them, he plays against a diminished Orlando Magic. And he's being guarded by goddamn Hedo Turkoglu. And LeBron balled and played his ass off them first 2 games. Played his ass off. Looked like the best player in the league. He played his ass off for 3 quarters. Here Rashard Lewis will guard him too. But Rashard Lewis wasn't a good defender. That was a big stiff motherfucker. They switched off Rashard Lewis and Hedo Turkoglu. Rashard Lewis spent a lot of time on Anderson Varejao. Rashard Lewis spent a lot of time on Anderson Varejao too. And Dwight Howard had Big Z. So, yeah, Marcy and Gortat was off the bench. But that year, everything was set up. The problem was when the fourth quarter came, LeBron just stopped shooting. Yes, that was your King Diamond. It's a lightning bolt. Somebody said, I never heard such revisionist history. That means you weren't watching the game, PG Big Dog. Again, you were playing tiddlywinks with your cousins, but you weren't in the room with the men watching basketball. You were either with the kids, or you were with the women that was watching Maury Povich or some shit. You're not the father, but you wasn't watching basketball. All you gotta do is go look at the fucking game. If Brandon Bass was solid. But LeBron balled and he had good stats. And this is when the NBA went from eye test to numbers overnight. That year, after the series was over, remember Magic Johnson and the ESPN staff trashed LeBron. Like, dude, why aren't you shooting? In the fourth quarter, you're just not. Orlando never stopped LeBron. They never stopped him. LeBron stopped himself. Yeah, the AC in Miami, that was a few years later. That's once he got to Miami. I'm still dealing with Cleveland. LeBron literally stopped shooting. Like, the Orlando Magic didn't know what the fuck to do with LeBron. When LeBron decided to go to the basket, LeBron got to the basket. When LeBron decided to score, LeBron scored. Orlando didn't do shit with LeBron. I remember watching them, like, in them first 3 quarters, like, God damn, this nigga playing like God. This nigga LeBron played like God for 3 quarters. Then them fourth quarters hit. That's when the league really knew they had an issue. So there was a memo that went out. And I know there was a memo that went out because I read it. There was no future YouTube Dwann back then. He's just, my friends was in the league and some of them worked in ESPN. And the memo that went out for those that worked in media, after LeBron was criticized, because it happened or not, and then again in 2010. The same thing happened in 2010 when LeBron played against the Celtics. And it was the same thing. He balled, but he didn't shoot in the fourth quarter. So 2010 was his second year in a row not shooting in the fourth quarter. This is before we even get to the Dallas Mavericks finals. People have to jump to Dallas. No. LeBron established a pattern of this shit in Cleveland. The nigga didn't shoot in the fourth quarter, no matter who was guarding him. Soft as wet tissue paper, and everybody saw it. So ESPN, they trashed LeBron in their post-game coverage for not stepping up. See, if you notice, these bronsexuals, they don't even talk to you guys about those last few years in Cleveland. They act like that shit didn't exist. They act like the Cavs weren't the best team in the league 3 years in a row. Well, no, I'll give it to the Celtics in 08. But 09 and 2010, the Cavs were the best team in the league, 9 and 10. They were better than the Celtics. The Celtics were old. The Celtics were getting old. The Cavs were better. And people forget, Antoine Jameson and Pau Gasol. Antoine Jameson was a better player than Pau Gasol at the time of both those two going to their. Antoine Jameson leaving the Wizards and going to Cleveland. Pau Gasol leaving Memphis and coming to LA. Pau Gasol had made the playoffs 3 years in a row before coming to LA and got swept all 3 years. His record, he got swept. This back then, you had 3 games in the first round. He got swept that year, and then I think the next year they switched it to it was still 4. So Pau Gasol was like 0 for 12 in the playoffs. He was a good player, but Antoine Jameson had already had 50-point games. He was going deep in the playoffs with the Wizards. Pau Gasol had never won a playoff game, let alone a series, and they both were averaging like 18 and 9. Both Pau Gasol and Antoine Jameson were both averaging like 18 and 9. They had like the same numbers. So people forget how good Antoine Jameson was. You know what I mean? People forget that when he was on North Carolina, he was the bigger name than Vince Carter. He played on the team with Vince Carter, but Antoine Jameson was the best player on the team. He was the best player in Golden State. And he was the most consistent player on the Wizards because Gilbert Arenas was always fucking hurt. That's real talk, King. Antoine Jameson was a bucket with that weak-ass floater. I hated that fucking Antoine Jameson shot. It was like a half hook, half layup, half teardrop. That shit was ugly as fuck. But it went in. You'd be like, man, fuck, I wanted to, like, Antoine, that shot was so frustrating. Like, you wanted to punch that nigga in the mouth every time he made it. Like, man, fuck you. I remember that game. Remember that game? He and Kobe both had 50 points in 2000. It was a game. It was Kobe's first time getting a 50-point game in the year 2000. and it was they played against the Warriors, and this back when the 50-point game was hard to get. Anton Jameson was hitting that ugly ass floater in that night. He hit my Lakers for 50 points with that stupid looking shot. I still want to break that nigga's arm if I see it. See that Wizard team with Caron Butler, Gilbert Arenas, and I think Brendan Haywood was on that team. Antoine Jameson. That team, they always had injuries at the wrong time. Like every year they got to the playoffs, one year Caron Butler get hurt. The next year Gilbert Arenas get hurt. One of their big three would get hurt right when it was time to go to the playoffs, and that was the issue with that Wizards team. That was the issue with that. I think had they been at full strength, they would have probably beat the Cavs in some of those playoff games had they been at full strength. But Deshaun Stevenson should not have been starting. That nigga was only starting with the injury. Andre Blatch, yeah. So, but let's get back to LeBron and everything. So, I'm taking you guys back to an environment to when David Stern. That's when first he softened up the rules for LeBron. Then he softened up the media coverage. After LeBron got trashed 2 years in a row by the media for not shooting in the fourth quarter, a memo went out telling the people in media to lay off LeBron. He's already like, dude, look, we invested. They didn't say the money part, but basically, me paraphrasing, these are my words, not theirs. The league invested a lot of money in LeBron. The league's owners, like, LeBron's first shoe deal from Nike was $100 million in 2003 when his first deal. That was his first shoe deal, was $100 million. The league's partners invested a lot of money in LeBron James, and that nigga wasn't winning. So they changed the rules up, and they changed the media up to where the media couldn't say negative things about LeBron James. I know this for a fact because I saw the shit. If I look through my hard drive, one of my external hard drives, I still got some of this stuff documented with David Stern when he was running the league. I still got some of this shit because I knew somebody that played in the league, and then see what happened was if you wanted to work for ESPN, you had to go to the Syracuse school. Syracuse University had like a 6-week school. They may still have it, I don't know. But if you want to work for Fox Sports or ESPN, you had to go over there to Syracuse. So the Lakers beat the Celtics in the finals. I was at that game. One of my greatest memories. That was my 29th birthday. On my 29th birthday, June 17, 2010, I'm sitting on the 15th row in front of Luke, next to Lou Gossett Jr. I got a picture with him. And my Lakers win the championship. And that summer, was it that year or the next year? No, the lockout was the following year. So that summer that they say, you can't talk negatively about LeBron. And then one of my other friends ended up going to that Syracuse University on broadcasting school. And he told me directly, I'm not going to say his name because he's still in media. But he told me directly, man, the school says, look, you gotta only talk about Michael Jordan and LeBron James. Appreciate that, Mark, to be. You got to, the league, this is what the league does. The league does something that we call a debate. They set the parameters of the argument. The league basically says LeBron and Jordan are the only two you could talk about in the GOAT conversation. You can't bring up Magic. You can't bring up Kareem. You can't bring up Wilt. You can't expand the conversation. And all the debate shows they choose who's going to take the pro side, who's going to take the con side. I basically found out that ESPN First Take was all contrived that year. All of it was contrived. It's writers, is people who are paid to watch the games, and they write scripts and points of views for Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless. And their job is to argue within these small, confined, narrow parameters. That's what I found out directly. And what confirmed that was later on that season, I'm at a Clipper game and I'm standing behind the tunnel. I'm in the friends and family room, and the way the Staples Centers work, when you go under the thing, if you go to the left, you go towards the Clippers locker room. Towards the right, you go to the friends and family room, and the media room is up in that way too. Actually, the media went the other way. The media room was on the opposite side of Staples Center, closer to where the Lakers were. But media was still gathering in that hallway, and so Stephen A. Smith is in the hallway, and this is like before the game. I'm there like super early. I would get to the games like 2 hours before, because in the friends and family room they got some good ass food, and I loved raiding the food at the friends and family game. That was some of the excitement going to the game. What they gonna have? And I eat, and then go up to the top and smoke a blunt, and then come back down and watch the game. But this particular game, I didn't go up top to smoke a blunt. I stayed down there, and I see Stephen A. Smith and Kevin Garnett. He's out there warming up. This is how early it is before the game. This is warm-ups. And so Kevin Garnett comes in from warming up. Stephen A. Smith is at the corner in the tunnel, and Stephen A. Smith says, "Hey, yo, KG, what up?" And KG looks at Stephen A. Smith and is like, "Nigga, I don't fuck with you," and walked away. I was like, mind you, back then, I used to watch First Take every day back then. I watched First Take the next morning. I see Stephen A. Smith go on air. "Yo, man, I was at the Staples Center last night, and I saw my man KG, and we chopped it up before the game." And I'm like, "No, y'all didn't. I was there." Fat Joe voice, "I was there." And that's when I stopped watching ESPN. That's when I stopped watching. I didn't stop right away because I was addicted to ESPN back then. Like, I had to watch First Take. I had to watch Part of Interruption. I had to watch all them shows. Around the Horn. I had to watch every episode. Like, I was, and I had friends that played. I wanted to hear what, Max Kellerman thought about what my homeboy did last night, But that's when my relationship with sports, with ESPN and all that stuff, it was never the same. Like, it took about a year or two, but after about a year or two after that moment, I stopped watching all the ESPN and all those shows. This is what I saw with my own face. I was there for Kevin Durant's first playoff game. I was sitting on the second row. I got pictures to prove it. I didn't take that many pictures back then. I was on my Sidekick in my Motorola Razr. I was on my. I went to my BlackBerry by then. I'm on a BlackBerry by then. Sidekick was like 06, 07. So 09, I'm on my BlackBerry. And Kevin Durant, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, their first playoff game at Staples Center, 2010. I was sitting next to Jeannie Buss. There's like across from the benches, they're like box seats on the floor. right behind the first row, because that's where like the hockey team. It's like a little permanent little rail there for the hockey team, the Kings. And just behind that is like these little boxes on the second row. And that whole first playoff series with Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, I was there. I was on the second row with Jeannie Buss. I don't know Jeannie like that. The people I knew Kurt Rambis, who knew Jeannie. Same thing with the Carlos Boozer, Darren Williams, Utah Jazz. I was there. I was sitting right there next to Jeannie Buss on that second row. I'll fish up the pictures one day and show y'all. But back to what we were talking about, I got to experience the NBA right there. Right there. And it's funny because All-Star Weekend is going on right here in LA, 5 minutes from where I live, and I don't give a fuck about being there. Like, I could be at some of them parties right now, but I don't give a fuck. I'm over that. I'm so over that. But the NBA and sports was a major time in my life for about a 10-year period. Didn't make no money off of it, and that's another reason why I left. It was just fun in my 20s. By the time I got to my 30s, I ain't making no money off this shit. What the fuck am I doing? I really said that. Like, yeah. I'm in all the cool places to be, but everybody I'm around is getting paid. I'm not. So by the time I got to in my 20s, I was cool. Like, whatever, this shit was fun. In my 30s, it was kind of like, nigga, everybody here getting paid except me. Yeah. Now, free tickets to the finals ain't bad. But still, everybody getting paid but me. So I'm seeing all of this up front. I'm seeing all this up front like, wow. And I backed off. But I said all to say how the NBA went real soft. And it started softened up its media coverage. Then 2016, the freedom of motion movement, where you can no longer bump the cutter. Then they wrote into the law the zero step, basically allowing traveling to exist. They stopped calling travel for LeBron. And all these things that they use to soften the league up for LeBron, to get back to the topic that I went off on a tangent the last 30 minutes on, I told y'all I always come back. But to circle it back, softening the rules and the media and coverage and all stuff for LeBron paved the way to make it easy for these soft-ass Europeans. Now, Giannis just gets to crash to the bucket every fucking time he grabs the ball. He's already 6'10". He just gets to crash to the bucket and elbow people in the mouth and it's okay. And, you know, Luka can move his pivot foot 3 times and it's fine. You know, now with the freedom of motion movement being taken away and Cutter's been able to move freely, Jokic can goddamn do his European Brad Miller. All Jokic is a little bit better version of Brad Miller. Imagine Brad Miller or Vlade Divac with these rules. I'm sure Vlade would have averaged 12 assists a game. No lie. Vlade Divac would have probably averaged 13 assists a game with today's motion rules. That's a fact. Even though Vlade was Laker, I couldn't stand Vlade as a Laker. But Vlade was a good passing motherfucker. Oh yeah, Marc Gasol. Shit. Imagine Marc Gasol with these rules. My God. Paul Gasol. Shaq. People forget that Shaq wasn't a good passer. Shaq was a great passer. Shaq had all the passes. He had the wraparound pass, the no look over the shoulder. Shaq knew how to put that ball on a dime. He could palm that motherfucker. Shaq was a passing motherfucker. But in Shaq's era, you could collapse the defense. So there weren't these wide open lanes for cutters to come through in Shaq's era because the defenses were more condensed. And when someone cut, you can bump them out the way. And it wasn't a foul. Yeah, Shaq could dribble. Shaq could do it all. So what they did to elevate the game and really push LeBron, they made it stat heavy. And they freed up the motion. And they took away all contact to make it easier for this soft ass nigga. Then they allowed him to team and super team it up. Oh man, imagine Arvydas Sabonis with these rules. If Arvydas was able to play during his prime in America, and if he had these rules, see if you saw old Arvydas Sabonis, Jokic doesn't impress you. I'm not impressed by numbers. I understand the rule changes that took place that allowed for these numbers. And going back to what Kevin Durant said, setting off this racial firestorm, we've always known for a black player to be considered MVP or the best, you had to play both sides of the ball. Especially a center. Watching basketball very closely, 35, 36, 37 years. I started playing, that's basketball and music is how me and my dad connected when I was a kid. Me and my dad connected, and we still connect to this day, but I was on the phone with my dad today earlier. We connect over the Lakers and music. My dad was always out with his friends and smoking weed and shit. I grew up, my dad was a real nigga, you know? So when I was 5, 6, 7 years old, my dad would be, he'd be down the street, Uncle Doug's house. Only time my dad ever really sat still was to watch the Lakers and if it was a Motown documentary on. And that's how me and my father connected for a long time. And this started in 85. I was 4 years old. That's when it started. I was sitting in my dad's lap and watch the Lakers. And then when I got too big to sit in his lap, I'd sit next to my dad, 87, 88. And the Lakers always won championships on my birthday. My birthday, June 17th. So, my birthday meant three things. End of school, Lakers winning the championship. So when my Lakers lost in 89, I was depressed. But summer 87, 88, nigga walking out, school out, Lakers won, school out, Lakers won, and it's my birthday. Chest all out in the air. That's how much Lakers meant to me growing up. The Lakers meant winning, my birthday, and kicking it with my dad. Fuck is this driving up slow? Must be one of them goddamn Uber drivers. But they got to check somebody driving up slow. What's up, man? Oh, nigga got a box of pizzas. That nigga looking to give somebody their food. Anyway, that's what that's that's how I was, you know. So I saw the development of the league, and I saw what happened. And they used the mold that they created for a nigga to soften the league up for Jokic, and we supposed to act like we don't see it. Jokic don't play defense, and that's the reason why they lost. It's the reason why they lost in the playoffs last year, because teams targeted Jokic. Nobody could say anything about that. It's the reason why the Mavericks lost in the finals. Whoever the fuck Luka was guarding is who teams go after. But nobody can say anything. Why? Because they white. So thank you, Kevin Durant, for bringing that up. You got the media pressing KD about, are you guys going to play hard? Hold on. Y'all elevate them and say that they're better than us. And I got this story from it's a channel that I watch for sports updates sometimes. Press number one if y'all know Dreamers Pro Sports. He has a dope sports channel. He has a very interesting sports channel, but Dreamers Pro is an African dude. He lived in Africa. So when he brought the story, oh no, he has an American accent, but I'm gonna give him an African accent. He's like, oh no, that's not what it is. It's because of LeBron. And yeah, it is, because LeBron started the soft shit. When he took over, when he became head honcho of the league, yeah, he did make the All-Star game soft. He did make it competitive like Kobe and everybody before him. But that shit don't mean KD ain't right. That don't mean KD ain't right. KD was 100% right for asking, why don't you ask the white players? Because it wasn't just about them being the white players. The reason, and Dreamers Pro, the African dude, was trying to make it like, well, you got this player, that player, this player. Like, no. The NBA don't promote those guys as the face of the league. The NBA promotes Jokic and Luka as the face of the league. So yeah, that's a fair statement by Kevin Durant. Y'all want to make these niggas the face of the league? Then why don't y'all tell him to hustle? You know, according to the league, Luka's been better than Kevin Durant for the last 8 years, according to them. According to them, Jokic is a higher on the all-time greatest list, according to them, over Kevin Durant. So if Jokic is higher on the all-time list, according to y'all, if Luka's better than KD for the last 6-7 years because of y'all, then why don't you ask them motherfuckers to hustle? That was very fair. And I'm glad KD called it out. I'm glad KD called it out. Hey, PG Big Dog, get LeBron's dick out of your ears and listen to what I said. I said the league did that for him because his investors, the sponsors, Nike, and the NBA and sponsorship partners invested a lot of money in him. and they expect particular outcomes. If you don't think money rules the NBA, NFL, NHL, NASCAR, then you're a fucking idiot. Do you think these companies invest hundreds of millions, billions of dollars in this shit if certain outcomes aren't guaranteed? Not saying every game is fixed. No, every game is not fixed. But everybody knows. Which takes me to another story. I knew somebody that played on the Celtics when the Celtics was playing against the Heat in the playoffs. And Larry will tell you, Larry was actually out there in Miami for this game. Because Larry's the one that told me the story. Larry was out there. We knew the same person. There was a game. This is how they cheat. Let me tell you how the NBA cheat. And Tim Donaghy verified this. How the NBA cheats is they get the other team's best defensive player, the defensive anchor, and you hit them with 2 early fouls. So for the Celtics, that was Kevin Garnett. You get them 2 fouls within the first 3 minutes of the game. It's going to either put them on the bench or it's going to make them play defense with their hands in their pockets and not going to be aggressive. You hit them with a 3rd foul midway through the 2nd, and then top of the 3rd quarter, within the first 2 minutes, give them their 4th. That's how you neutralize the defense. It's very simple. But most of you niggas don't know basketball. You just been listening to Skip Bayless and Nick Wright your whole fucking life, and you think the game is a game of numbers without understanding the means to get to the numbers. So they control games by controlling the fouls on the other team's best defender. Pay attention when in big games. And the league always has. It's not all the referees. It's just a few. In Jordan's day, it was Ronnie Nunn, even though he hated Scottie Pippen. But he was a Jordan guy. It was Ronnie Nunn in Jordan's day. Dick Bavetta. It was Steve Javie. He's still on there. It was Monty McCutcheon. Quick side note, I knew Monty McCutcheon before he became an NBA ref. One of my cousin's girlfriend, he dated a white lady, Miss Roberta. And when they broke up, my mom stayed cool with Miss Roberta. This was her nephew. And Miss Roberta lived in her roommate was Monty McCutcheon. Monty McCutcheon was a referee for at the time, it wasn't the NBA DL. Was it the ABA? CBA. That was a minor league, CBA. And I used to be with Roberta to go pick up Monty from the airport. We talking 1993. We talking the OJ murders, because they lived over by OJ. We talking those years. And I remember when Monty got his job as an NBA referee. Monty McCutcheon's first year in the NBA was 1995. And he gave me all these goddamn NBA gear. Like my whole last year over at middle school, I had like the finals duffel bag, the NBA referee jacket. He gave me a whole bunch of that shit. But once Monty got to the NBA, I never saw him again. Haven't seen him since 94. Just a quick side story. But Monty McCutcheon ended up becoming one of the main league guys. Now, it's that thick eyebrow nigga. What's his name? I forget his name. He just hurt himself. Bill Kennedy's one of them now. If you notice in big games, you're going to see Bill Kennedy. And you're going to see that thick-eyed nigga. I forgot his name. That black dude with them thick-ass eyebrows. Look like sun visors. Forgot his name. But going back to Larry, they hit KG with a critical foul early in the game. And Doc Rivers, Tony Brothers, yeah. Doc Rivers looks over at the ref like, what the fuck? Like, and he's like, Doc is like, oh, it's one of those games. And the ref looks at Doc Rivers like, it's one of them games. And everybody knew what both of them meant when they said, hey, it's one of those games. This is all alleged. This is all alleged. I'm just telling stories. I wasn't there. I'm just telling stories. Okay. Now that that's been said, so hell yeah, the Heat were out. The Heat hacked the shit out of Kevin Durant, and the only reason why Kevin Durant didn't hit that game winner in game one because they fucking Edward Scissorhand that nigga on defense. So in order for the league's investment in LeBron James to pay off, they had to soften the rules. They had to soften the media coverage. They had to, they really shitted on players like Kobe and Allen Iverson and Stephon Marbury. They basically kicked Marbury out the league. They sent his ass to China. If you remember, 2009, this is early Steph. I think Monte Ellis was still on the Warriors. KD's young in the league. LeBron's young. The NBA went on a marketing campaign, 2009, 2010. One, they had a whole campaign saying, don't say gay. Don't use the word fag anymore. If you remember, before 2009, you could say faggot all goddamn day and it didn't mean anything. But all that shifted when Obama got in office, and there was a major push through the NBA. It was a commercial with like Steve Nash, Grant Hill, and they were saying you can't say that word anymore. And they actually suspended Kobe Bryant in 2011 from a game because it was March 2011. Kobe goes to the bench and he slams, boom. He's like, Benny, talking about the referee, Benny Salvatore. He's like, Benny, Kobe said, you fucking faggot. And he called Benny Salvatore that word. And Kobe was the first player in the league suspended for using the F word. How does the best player in the league get suspended for over a word? The narrative was changing, the agenda was changing, and America was using sports to change the minds. And this is all leading up to 2012, President Obama signing into law gay marriage. Sports is used as a mind control mechanism, and it's used to shape opinions. Think I'm lying? Go back to 2008. I live here in liberal California. There's something on the ballot called Proposition 8. And the same year, our electoral college in California elected the first quote-unquote black president, they voted no on gay marriage. Liberal California voted no on gay marriage in 2008. Let me say that again. Liberal California, the same year they voted in President Obama, the first quote-unquote black president in American history, they voted no on gay marriage. What changed? The propaganda changed. The propaganda changed. The propaganda changed the people. And there was a very hard push to change how we spoke about gay people 2009, 10, and 11. And the NBA was a major force behind that. That shows you that sports is used to push agenda. That's why Colin Kaepernick was so dangerous. Because Colin Kaepernick was trying to change the agenda. And everybody bailed on him. And he ended up bailing on it. Nike signed us in with that shoe contract. But anyway, that's another topic. That's another topic. But that was sort of a side segue. I'm not saying LeBron had anything to do with the whole changing of the narrative. That came down from the top. That came down from the top, whatever you think the top is. During that time, the narrative also shifted. Yeah, Jay-Z did sack him. He did sack Colin Kaepernick. But at the time of this narrative shift, NBA is also running these commercials basically disrespecting players. They said no more hero ball. Who remembers the hero ball movement on ESPN? When they were basically downing players who played hero ball. Hero ball was basically them trying to get rid of the previous nigga-heavy decade. It was crapping on Tracy McGrady style game. Tracy McGrady, Iverson, without saying their names. They wouldn't say their names explicitly, but they would kind of use them in highlights, you know. Carmelo Anthony, that style player. Iverson, Marbury, you know, them players that could take your ankles. Remember, the 2000s was the decade of the ankles. Late 90s into 2000s, that was the ankle decade. This was the prime of Black American basketball. 2000s was the prime. It was better than the 2000 to 2013. That was probably the best balance between most skilled. And really 2000, if you go back to like 97, 96 to 04, because 04 is when they really started bringing in, the zone had come in, but they really started softening the league in 04. But 96 to 04, that was the ankles era. Nick Van Exel, take your ankles. Damon Stoudemire, take your ankles. Stephon Marbury, take your ankles. Kenny Anderson, take your ankles. Tony Delk, take your ankles. Bobby, man, that was the ankles era, nigga. And nobody's ankles was safe between 96 and 04. Kobe, take your ankles. They had to, it was too nigga heavy. And they dunk on you. Yeah, TJ Ford, before that spine condition, take your ankles. They'd take your ankles and dunk on you. Like, that was also the era of, like, them niggas like to embarrassing niggas on. Remember Shawn Kemp? Shaq These cats wanted to embarrass Tracy McGrady. These cats, Baron Davis. These cats wanted to embarrass you. Jason Kidd wasn't as ankle. Jason Kidd could break ankles, but his game was a little smoother than ankle breaking. Jason Kidd like posting up. Jason Kidd got your ass on that box, and you couldn't do nothing with him. Him and Gary Payton, Jason Kidd, Gary Payton, them niggas like posting you up. J Kidd could take your ankles, but he wasn't gonna rely on that. He put that big backside on your motherfucking ass. Yeah, Jamal Crawford. I'm telling y'all all kind of stories about. I be forgetting how connected I was. Do y'all know that me and Jamal Crawford used to go to church together? Jamal Crawford lived in LA for a few years in the 90s. And we used to talk every Sunday. Me and Jamal Crawford was hella cool from like 95. I remember when I found out Biggie Smalls got killed. Where Biggie got killed was about a mile from my church that I grew up at, that we grew up in. And I was in a car with Jamal Crawford, this other kid at the church named Alan, who I found out passed away a couple years ago. And we were in a car together. We left youth service. We left youth service to go turn the radio on. Like, this before the internet. We like, yo, I heard Biggie got killed last night. We was like, what? Because my mama, she was listening to Fred Price on TV while we was getting ready for church. We couldn't listen to 92.3 The Beat when we was getting ready for church. It was gospel music. So we leave out of youth service, get in the car, and we turn on 92.3 The Beat. No, we turn on Power 106. And they're like, yeah, Biggie Smalls got killed in front of the Peterson Museum. And the Peterson Museum was like a mile from where we were at church. 2 miles. But I was with Jamal Crawford. But Jamal Crawford is one of the greatest ankle breakers of all time. Who else? That was an and-one era. But the NBA wouldn't allow them niggas to exist. Remember, the NBA made all those you can't hang on the rim rules. The anti-taunting rule. Remember that? Y'all remember when David Stern came up with that rule? You can't taunt. They made the players change how they dress. They did a lot to pull back the progress. Pay attention to this. Going back to Kevin Durant's racial comment. Understand this. The same thing happened in music, happened in the NBA. In order for other people to compete with us, they have to retard the progress. They can't just let us exist. If we're allowed to just exist, you can't compete. The same thing happened in the school system. I'm a former IEP advocate. The IEP is very powerful. A kid can have an IEP and be in regular mainstream class, but the IEP is giving them 30 minutes a day of supplemental English tutoring, an hour a day of supplemental math tutoring. It can say, okay, allow this kid to have 20 extra minutes on a test. It could be a good thing. But with black kids, what I noticed, that same IEP would have them in the retarded class, and they not retarded. Matter of fact, they're really smart. They think real fast, but because black kids think so fast and the school moves too slow and can't engage these young black minds, and they're antsy and they're moving around, they say your kid has ADHD and let's put him in special education. And when your black kid is in special education, he's gonna be there with kids who got for real autism and Down syndrome, who need to be in there. But your kid who has a healthy mind is gonna get forced over into that class. And they retard the progress of those healthy minds. It happens every day in schools. That's why I don't respect feminists. That's why I don't respect these Democrat niggas. Like, y'all see what's happening to our kids? That's why I don't respect red pill guys and blue pill guys and whatever pill you taking guys. Like, no. All these hurt ass niggas arguing with a whole bunch of hurt ass women and everybody ignoring the kids, raising another hurt ass generation. And that's why NBA Youngboy is the biggest artist out there right now. Because that young man speaks to these kids' heart. Because the men and the women of the last 40 years have been fighting over some goddamn feminism, and all women ain't shit, and the kids been getting ignored. These kids got forced into IEPs, put into schools that, when I used to be an IEP advocate, some of these schools, like my former elementary, Coliseum Elementary, I don't know how it is in y'all, and I mean, this is all part of what we talking about with Katie. I have not lost the plot, okay? But I remember walking into my old elementary school, it's probably like 2015. I don't know how they have it where y'all live, because we live in different parts of the country, but it's how it is in LA. In the black schools, Coliseum Elementary, Raymond Ave, and a few others that I went to back then, they have a white line. And when the kids are on the yard, they must stick to the white line. We're talking about kindergartners, first graders. And if they deviate from the white line, they get a punishment. Now, same school. You can't punish these kids for not doing their homework. But you could punish them for deviating from the white line. What else has a white line? Prison. So why is it? See, I was in a very unique position when I was a case manager for the Department of Mental Health, because I would always have 15 to 20 kids at caseload all throughout LA. Some of my kids would be in school in Culver City, like they'd be around white kids. Some of my kids would be in, near East LA, Boyle Heights, all Mexicans, Maywood. Some of my kids would be in Compton. Some would be in Crenshaw, some would be in Inglewood. So for 15 kids, I'm dropping in on 15 different schools a week. So, and y'all know how my brain work, y'all. Y'all been listening to me for a long time. I pay attention to everything. So, I'm walking to schools on this side of town. They ain't got a white line. School, classroom, got color on the wall. They got topics that engage the kids. Go over here where the black kids are. The whole makeup of the school is crime and punishment. Over here, white kids, my black kid that's in a white school, their school is about education and upliftment. I come over here to the black kids, pre-gentrification LA, and all these kids is about, all they're talking about is corporal punishment. It ain't really much of education going on here. You know what else I noticed? You know that, and all of this, mind you, at the same time, all of this is what made me push away from basketball so much. I was like, why? I'm seeing this shit every day, like, and I think that basketball is important. How the fuck is basketball important? And I'm going to work and I'm seeing this. It made me get more serious in life about where I spend my time and my education and my free time to myself. What do I spend it on? I spent way too much time in sports. And I'm seeing this shit go in real life. Mind you, when I saw that story I told you earlier about Stephen A. Smith getting cussed out by Kevin Garnett, I had to go to work the next day and deal with a kid that had to walk the white line. That was my life. I'm over here in bottle service at night. I'm over here second row at the NBA Finals. I'm sitting second row watching Kevin Durant's first basketball game in the final playoffs, sitting next to Jenny Buss. Next day, I got to go to work, and I got to deal with a black kid and talk to him, and like, man, this little nigga's a genius. But why is he in special education? I read this kid's caseload files. This file made me think that this little nigga's a monster. I meet him. Yeah, he broke his PlayStation, but he fixed it. Like, this little nigga, the school, y'all talking all kind of shit. This kid had just gotten a PlayStation 3, took it apart, and put it back together. And the school is like, well, he's this and he's that. I'm like, we got a mechanic here. We got an engineer here. What the fuck? Y'all getting ready to put this kid in special education? And he just took apart a PlayStation 3 and put it back together? The fuck is going on here? The next day, I'm over here, I'm kicking it, and I see Magic Johnson there. I'm at the Michael Jordan party, All-Star Weekend. I'm looking at Michael Jordan cuss out Chamillionaire. Then I go back to work, and I'm seeing a black boy get into a fight, beat up a bully, and he now is getting put into a special education camp when all he did was defend himself. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? Yeah, well, Dr. Umar was 100% on point. That's why I believed in Umar for a long time, because, and this is why I'll always give credit to Tariq, no matter how people feel about him, in Hidden Colors, because Hidden Colors saved me from depression. And I say that in a real way. Because when I heard Dr. Francis Grace Welsing, at the time his name was Booker T. Coleman, Kawakamane, and Dr. Umar, when I heard them talk about the special education system, that was the first time I felt understood by somebody who didn't have my job. I would go and talk to my friends, talk to family about what I would see, like, and they'd be like, oh yeah, they wouldn't know what to say. Like, okay, what do you say? Like, I felt like, and I don't even want to talk to my coworkers. Yeah, I'm a real nigga. I wasn't friends with my coworkers. So I'm not about to have no in-depth conversations with these niggas. I was looking for somebody outside that I could talk to about what I'm seeing at work, and I couldn't find nobody. Hidden Colors, when I saw Dr. Welsing talk about special education and Booker T. Coleman and Umar, that was the first time somebody heard it was like, these niggas are at work with me every day. What the fuck? Hidden Colors, and then Raheem Shabazz's documentary, Elementary Genocide. That was the first time I ever seen my work environment reflected on TV. And of course it made me angry for a while, but after I ended my anger, I became an IEP specialist. That's how go to breakthroughas.org right now. I changed the website up. I don't do IEPs like I used to. But breakthroughas.org, that's my company. That company started in 2016 as IEP advocates. And I learned the IEP system. I learned it well. This is also when I pulled back from watching all that goddamn basketball. I'm so glad I saw Stephen A. Smith do that to Kevin Garnett in front of me. It made me pull back from all those ESPN TV shows. I still watch the game to relax, but instead of watching that shit, I learned the IEP system. I went to the Rights Law Conference. There's a white man named Peter Wright's Law, and he won the case against the Supreme Court in 1977 that brought in special education provisions for children with special needs. So he would do a once a year conference here, and he would come to LA. And that conference was like $300 or $400. I spent my money and went to the conference, got his books, and I learned IEP. And once I learned, because I was already in IEP meetings all the time at work, usually I would just get to IEP meetings high. It would just be, we sitting in a meeting, and they're like, does everyone agree that Milton will get 20 hours of supplemental education in the area of English? And I'm just sitting there high as fuck, because I be smoking like a motherfucker before I go to work. I'm just sitting in the office meeting high as fuck, like, we agree. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm just there because I'm on the clock. When I saw Hidden Colors, I was like, oh, that's what they doing? I got the Birdman handshake going, like, okay, I got this shit. And I learned IEP. So now when I would go to these IEP meetings, I'm coming up in there. I went down to 333 Beaudry, LA Unified, the school district. Nigga, I've been in over 100 IEP meetings, and each one, I've gotten everything I wanted. I never lost a case. Never. That's something I really could brag about, but I don't, because I don't, and that's a different time in my life. But but that was one highlight of that job. When I come up in that office, nigga, and so I opened up my own company doing IEP, and that's where I would get charged. Like I had kids of Indian descent, and I would see the Indians to be in a white neighborhood getting treated because there ain't no niggas over there in Manhattan Beach. So I had these Indian clients, and they was treating these Indian clients where they treat niggas. I had Mexican clients, people who could afford me, but that's what I did on the side. When I worked at that job, man, and I did it full time for a little bit after I left that job. But man, it got to the point to when I would just walk in IEP meetings, they wouldn't even argue no more. Like, I only had to argue in IEPs like my first 2 or 3 years doing it. After that, I had gotten a reputation here in LA. I would walk in and they'd be like, oh, he's your advocate? And they go right into, okay, how many hours? Because they already knew that I knew what the deal was. And the parents would be like, they've always, yeah, they know you don't know what the fuck you're doing. But that was Hidden Colors. Hidden Colors showed me that, okay, what I'm running into every day is real, but I can do something about it. And I did. So, back to what we were talking about with this NBA shit, I saw the shit happen in front of me. And they allow the white, this is nothing I noticed. Going back to what Kevin Durant said, 2000, I'm into my Lakers, Shaq and Kobe and Shaq, those years. I noticed this is back when the Best Damn Sports Show was out, 2000, 2001. Every day, they had a story about Shaq and Kobe arguing, Shaq and Kobe fighting. And this is even before Disney bought ESPN. But I've noticed no matter what I watch, they always talking about comparing Shaq to Kobe and talking about them fighting. At the same time, the Arizona Diamondbacks were in the World Series. And the Arizona Diamondbacks had Curt Schilling and Randy Johnson. And I noticed in baseball, they never compared or made rivalries between Kurt Schilling and Randy Johnson, the big unit. But in basketball, they always made the black teammates rivals. But in baseball, you could have two great pitchers and they both be great within themselves without being rivals. I noticed that when I was 20, 19, 20. Damn, I'm like, okay. Then I noticed same thing with quarterbacks. They would never diss. This when Tom Brady was coming up. They never diss Tom Brady. I mean, they would never diss Joe Montana to elevate Tom Brady. They would never elevate Tom Brady by dissing Dan Marino for having no Super Bowl championships. I noticed that with the white quarterbacks. You know, I noticed when Donovan McNabb and what was that nigga that was a quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings? Dante Culpepper. Donovan McNabb, Dante Culpepper, they run. It's like, oh, you have to stay in the pocket, oh. But if John Elway or Steve Young ran, oh, look at how courageous they are. It was like, well, I didn't know what I was looking at, you know? I didn't know what I was looking at till I got older. I was like, man, they always got the black athletes fighting. Even Steve Nash's MVPs. Steve Nash didn't play defense. But when he won MVP, they never mentioned that. It was like, Tracy McGrady was never seriously in the NBA MVP conversation because he didn't play defense. Y'all remember that? Yeah, KD and Westbrook. Yeah, Ben Roethlisberger had all those allegations. Yeah. Yeah, McNabb versus T.O. I noticed that then. I'm like 19, 20, 21. I'm like, damn, just like, what's going on? So what Kevin Durant did by saying that and calling out what we all see, I'm sure, although he's being attacked right now, that turned a light bulb on in a lot of people's minds. Sometimes all you just need is the notion. That's why they police what these athletes say so heavy. And I remember the day the media turned on Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant was a media darling. This is when they turned on Kevin Durant. They turned on Kevin Durant when he missed that season. He got hurt. And he was taking his time coming back. Well, they thought he was taking too much time coming back. And Oklahoma City media dissed him for taking too much time. And Kevin Durant was like, damn, I never missed a game my whole career. I remember he said this. See, the media won't remind you of this, but I got a good memory. Kevin Durant said, y'all can look this up, it's still out there. I gave my everything to this game, to Oklahoma City. And then I get hurt for the first time in my life. And this how y'all treat me? It's like, damn. He basically was, I'm paraphrasing him, but he basically was saying, I don't get no goodwill. I don't get no equity as much of my heart and soul as I put into this. Y'all not gonna give me no goodwill? And that's when Kevin Durant stopped talking to the media. This is like 2016, 15, sometime around there. 15, 16, sometime around there. 14, Kevin Durant stopped talking to the media. He's like, I can't trust y'all. I gave my heart and soul to this shit. And this how y'all treated me the minute I get hurt. It broke his heart. And after that, that's when the media turned on Kevin Durant. If they start comparing him to Westbrook instead of saying they're teammates, meanwhile, you can have Clayton Kershaw pitching and Zach Greinke with the Dodgers, and y'all don't compare the two. You know, they never made it a competition between Steve Glavine, Greg Maddux, John Smoltz. I remember that Braves pitching staff of the 90s. My grandfather was a huge Atlanta Braves fan, so I know all of my grandfather's house in the summertime. He had the Braves on. So I know a lot about those 90s Braves. Who remembers the 90s Braves? They went 4 deep with that pitching staff until the playoffs came. But they never compared those guys against each other. They never played them against each other. Who's better, Smoltz, Glavine, or Maddux? No, it was like each one, like, okay, Smoltz gets you with, you know, this is how Smoltz is great. That's how Maddux is great with control. This is how Marino's great. That's how Marino's great with his accuracy and short, quick release. Elway is great because of his legs. Montana is great because of his patience. They show you the aspect of the white player's greatness. Jokic is great because he passes well. He gets triple doubles. They ignore the fact that he doesn't control the paint defensively. Luka is great because he hits the open player and he makes big shots and he makes tough shots. They don't mention his defense nor his ethnic battle that got Porzingis sent to Boston because you have racial differences. There was a whole season in Dallas where Luka and Porzingis would literally argue and fight on the court. And reports all year about how like they had ethnic differences, but Luka was the one that they chose, not Porzingis. And he got Porzingis run out of Dallas, and then Porzingis went to Celtics and beat him in the finals. All because you couldn't settle your racial differences, your ethnic and cultural differences between Porzingis and Luka. And they don't talk about that. Them niggas would literally have fights on the court, and Luka wouldn't pass him the ball the rest of the game. I remember it was one game, they had a little altercation in the second quarter. Luka didn't pass Porzingis the ball the rest of that fucking game. Media never talked about it. Oh, rest in peace, Steve in there. 53rd birthday. Man, that's fucked up. No, he's not a point guard. Mr. Ronald Hayes said Jokic is a 7-foot point guard. No, he's a point center. He's not a point guard. He couldn't. And again, you missed the whole conversation, Ronald, about Jokic. Jokic benefits from rules that don't allow people to be touched. If you put Vlade Divac would average 14 assists in today's game. The way Vlade passed, like, stop it. But y'all get to what we're talking about here. So Kevin Durant, just said something that everyone sees that nobody wants to say. Why don't you press these white players to play defense and play hard and hustle? Put some pressure on them for once. Y'all make them the face of the league. How y'all gonna make them the face of the league and not give them no pressure? The pressure is still on the niggas to perform, while the quote-unquote faces of the league can fuck off, goof off. So salute to KD, salute to Terence Crawford for turning down and paying that money to the WBC. Salute to that mushroom head nigga that just won the fight. Y'all know I keep forgetting his name. Shakur Stevenson for not paying that fee. Salute to Deontay Wilder for calling out the racism to that white reporter in the whole Tyson Fury situation. Sounds like niggas are starting to talk up a little bit more. But salute to KD for calling the media out, for not calling out these reporters for pressing the white players. And he said, read between the lines. Salute to KD. He said, y'all don't do this shit to the Americans. And when they say the Americans, he knows exactly what he meant, because there ain't no American white boys in the league like that, especially on the All-Star team. And so, salute to KD for calling out and seeing it for what it is. All right. I'll holler at y'all tomorrow.